I think what happens in LK stays in LK, right? That's what we always say in my class. It's my pleasure to introduce Sherry Jenkins, the Executive Director of Dogwood Arts, and Shannon Herron, the Marketing and Creative Director. Sherry has a BFA in graphic design and worked with Dogwood as a volunteer for many years before becoming Executive Director. I've lost my classroom board. Okay, do I need to start over, or can you figure it out?
We got to figure it out.
Sherry was a volunteer with Dogwood for many years before becoming its executive director in 2017. Prior to that, she spent 18 years as National Service Associates. Shannon has a BFA in two-dimensional design and an MFA in transmedia design. I've known them both for many years. I met them separately, but at probably around the same time. When I was development director at Positively Living, Sherry was a great event volunteer who usually ended up supervising the rest of the volunteers. And I really appreciated her because she knew how to accept donations using the square card reader, because I had never mastered that and still have not to this day. Shannon and I knew each other virtually. It was a while before we met. Again, when I was at Positively Living, one of the board members complained about my graphic design. And I reminded them that they had hired a fundraiser and a word nerd and no experience or talent in graphic design, and that perhaps they could find someone else. And someone apparently knew Shannon, who was working at UT at the time, and persuaded him to help me out. I think first as a volunteer, and then for probably a very slight amount of pay, which was way less than he was worth, because our graphics improved dramatically after Shannon came on board. I would send him a rough idea and he would turn it into something brilliant. So I've always appreciated him for that. Sherry and Shannon and the rest of the Dogwood staff do a fantastic job. And I'm so excited to have them here to talk to us about all things Dogwood.
And thanks everybody for having me today. I love to talk about Dogwood Arts. I don't love to stand in front of a podium, so you guys will have to bear with me. And I hope you'll participate with me today, because I know I can see some faces in here. I know there are some Dogwooders already existing, so I'm not going to have to change hearts and minds with too many of you. Our awesome Shannon put together a little bit of a historical slideshow for you guys. That's just going to run in the background. It's not kind of connected to my talking points, but some really great images through the years that I thought you guys might be interested in, and especially if you just get bored listening to me. So look at the photos. Chris mentioned, that you guys are really focused on the history of your organization this year, and that's something that he really wanted to spend a lot of time thinking about and talking about. And it just so happens that's a great thing for us to talk about today too. With Dogwood Arts, this year we're embarking on, it's our 2024-2025 season, will be the 70th anniversary of the first Dogwood Trails in Knoxville. So you're going to hear a lot about the history of Dogwood Arts this year, because we're going to remind people how long we've been around, and kind of honor that past while we're celebrating the future. I think a lot of you already know, but the beginning of Dogwood started with those trails. And we had a writer who came from New York and visited, and went home and immediately wrote that Knoxville was the ugliest town in America. And so we had some really determined ladies in our garden club who said, oh no, he did not. And here's how we're going to show them. So they really started what was really a community campaign. They started planting blooming trees and flowers. A lot of them were already planting blooming trees and flowers. And they started encouraging their neighbors to do the same. And so that really started the beginning of the Dogwood Trails. The first trail was started in 1955. And, that trail has now blossomed. We have 13 trails located throughout our city. We stretch from East Knoxville to Farragut, from Fountain City to South Knoxville, in a lot of communities in between neighborhoods that are all part of the trails. Those historic trails were really the beginning. That's where, when people started coming to visit those trails, our city leaders said, I think we need to give these guys something else to do while they're in town, to visit these really beautiful trails in April. And so that is when we started as an organization officially. We were incorporated, our charter was established in 1961 originally as the Dogwood Arts Festival. And at that time, the Dogwood Arts Festival it happened in April. It would be a 2-week-long event. I think I've heard some people say it was a lot longer than that. There are varying stories. At one point, I know we've seen historical things in print where there were 200 plus events in April that were all identified as being part of the festival. So it was really a community effort that caught fire, and people got invested and inspired by it and excited by it. I chuckle sometimes because I think maybe if your birthday was in April, you were part of the Dogwood Arts Festival too back then. You had to have a big party though. That 1961 charter establishes our mission for this organization, and that is to promote and celebrate the art, culture, and natural beauty of East Tennessee. The fact is we have a lot to celebrate, and it makes our jobs, mine and Shannon's in particular, really easy in a lot of ways, because there's just this wealth of beauty, of artistic talent, of history, and of culture that surrounds us. So it makes us look like we're really good at our job. So he's really good at his job. I just pretend. So when we dropped festival, because now today we're known as the Dogwood Arts, just as Dogwood Arts. It's an organization. We dropped the word festival because it kind of became a little complicated to explain to people. We still have the Dogwood Arts Festival. It's now a 3-day event at World's Fair Park, but the festival is that one event and program that we do, and now it's surrounded with a year-round calendar of events that include everything from public art with our sculptures and mural program, chalk walk. Raise your hand if chalk walk is one of your favorite events. Woo! It's always a fan favorite. Anybody go to Dogwood Arts Festival this year? Do you go every year? Fantastic. I'm hoping that a lot of you guys already follow Dogwood Arts in some shape or form. But those events that we do, they're spread out. There's not anything that's in particular time of year in terms of like we don't only do art in April. We do art year round. We do music year round. We do youth-based programs spread out throughout the year. A lot of different things, and so there's always something great for just about anybody to find something they love about Dogwood Arts. I will just take that minute to just point you to, that's the brochure that you see on the table. I'm hoping many of you guys have seen this already. Our wonderfully talented designer, Shannon, and we have Abby also on staff. That means there's 3 graphic designers in-house at Dogwood Arts, so that makes it fun sometimes too. But I'm really proud of this publication. It's the first publication we've done of this type. It's really an evergreen document, so it's a tasting menu of Dogwood Arts. I think you can flip through there and you might see some things that you know and love already. You also might see some things you didn't know we did those things, and that's really why we put that together, to be able to share it with the community members. And we will be doing a 2.0 version of that very soon, so you'll see a new updated version of that coming out later this year. I mentioned some of our core programming. I'm hoping that you guys know or will investigate all of the programs that we do. If you have a young artist in your life, we've got things for them. If you love to buy art or just appreciate art, we've got things for you. Live music and everything in between. We really are embracing the art community here. I have to talk about the success of Dogwood Arts currently, because as Gay mentioned, we have a lot going on. There's a lot of branding that happens all the time. And so in a second, I'm going to bring Shannon up to talk about that. But just as a look back for this past year, that we are on a fiscal year, not a calendar year, we had 87,000 attendees at 66 event dates. 1,500 artists and musicians sold their work or performed for us. 2,000 dogwood trees were planted this year to make sure Knoxville blooms for years to come. And that's just kind of some big picture things that we're really proud of. We spent a lot of money in this economy. We paid a lot of artists, we paid a lot of contractors, we paid a lot of companies to help us do those big events. And so the money that we are able to generate gets reinvested back in the community in a lot of different ways. And to the benefit, we believe, to the benefit of all. So now I'm gonna have Shannon, because I know this group in particular are business-minded mostly, and I know you're all community-oriented because that's why you're part of this club. I'd love Shannon to talk about some of the growth that we've seen and some of the ways he's kind of changed the game since he's been with us at Dogwood Art.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having us today. Like Sherry said, my job is really fun. I get to promote all of the 20+ events that we do throughout the year. One of my main focuses since I came on at Dogwood was, protecting the legacy of our organization. So, like she said, we've been around for the past 70 years. So, continuing to engage the people who made Dogwood what it is today, and doing that through more traditional communication methods, TV, newspaper, radio, that kind of thing. While also introducing Dogwood to the next generation of artists, to the next generation of committed community members. And so that's something I've been really focused on. We're really blessed at Dogwood to have really overwhelming support from all of the local media outlets in town. And it's been that way for a while. So it's great. We have wonderful relationships with them where we do pay for advertising, but then also they cover the majority of our events. And one of my favorite parts about working for Dogwood is we don't do a lot of controversial stuff, not a lot of controversial events or anything like that. And so everything we do is really uplifting. It's community focused. It's showcasing local businesses and artists. And so the media want to cover that, putting our stories in between hurricanes and political unrest, something that they're always wanting to do. And so we've got great support from them, not only in our big event season, but year round. We've got events going on pretty much all the time. And really the media support is really critical to our success as an organization. It really helps us reach new audiences. Knoxville's growing at such a rapid pace, and so not everyone's going to be following us on Instagram or Facebook right at first. And so reaching them via the news and radio is really important for us to kind of bring them into the fold of Dogwood and show them everything that we do and turn them into supporters. Social media, of course, has been a big focus of what I've done since joining Dogwood Arts in 2018. We've grown our following by about 70% since I joined. And of course, social media comes with its own challenges, but it's also probably one of the most rewarding parts of my job. I think it's really like the most direct line of communication between our community and our organization. And I think it's a really, it's really important to connect with the community in that way, to give them easy access to us as an organization and get them plugged in and involved in all the things that we do. We run 8 different social media accounts. So we have Dogwood Arts. If you've been to Maker Exchange on World's Fair Park, it's right in between the Marriott and Tennessean Hotel. We manage the art program in that space. And so we've got social media accounts and websites for that, where we sell artwork. And then also we have a music festival called Southern Skies. So between all of those different social media accounts, we're sitting right about 57,000 followers, which is great because that helps us translate into what Sherry said, 90,000-ish event attendees last year. So our social media reach and those event attendees are really kind of key when we're talking to sponsors and donors. It's something that it's easy to talk about Dogwood and get people invested in it because it really does reach every part of the community. We've got young families with our youth art programs. We have new homeowners and people who are new to Knoxville at the House and Garden Show. We have people who love music, who love art, who love gardening. And so really my job is more about condensing all of that down to kind of share the message and share the mission of Dogwood. And I think that's really, all the different demographics that we touch and that we reach and support. I think it's really what has led to the longevity of our organization and how excited we are for the next 70 years and to see what can come with Dogwood.
Thank you, Shannon. And yes, he loves his job and he's not looking. So, I'll fight you in this country. We're really proud of the reach that Shannon in particular, he's led the charge, but my whole staff is incredible. There are 6 of us on staff, and we work a lot, and but we love what we do. We're all to a person, very passionate about the work that we do and the impact that each of us have in that organization. And I know that is something that is part of the history of Dogwood Arts. Before we had staff, we had super committed community volunteers, co-chairs in particular, which Mr. Powell, who introduced himself to me earlier, whose wife was a co-chair, there are so many community leaders who have been board members of Dogwood Arts and co-chairs who worked tirelessly. We tell a favorite story. Susan Brackney, who still hosts our annual co-chair luncheon every year, the co-chair from 1967, she actually postponed getting pregnant with her son until she got through the festival season. They put that on the calendar. So there was real commitment, and it runs long and deep in this town for Dogwood Arts. The other question that I get, how do you, just a small staff, do this work, and how do you pay for it? So a big part of what we do is really raising money to do this work. Jason knows exactly what I'm talking about right there. So I can never speak to anyone without saying, just taking a moment to appreciate those sources for that. And for us, Dogwood Arts in particular, it really, we get City of Knoxville and Knox County support. That's a really critical thing, to have your local governments invested in what you're doing. And I have to say, especially for the City of Knoxville, beyond funding that they give us, they also give us, just like, they help. They do not stand in our way. If we need a thing, if we're trying to solve a problem, they work on it. They help us get through that. And it's really, if you look at the history of Dogwood Arts, that is across the board through all the different mayors who have been involved along the way. It is really just something that is, this is as Chris mentioned, Dogwood Arts is a pillar in our community, and that municipal support is really critical to our longevity. We do get grant funding that we work hard to secure. There's always more opportunity for that, just not enough time to go out there and get it. But we do get some Tennessee Arts Commission funding is a really important source. So if you want to get a custom license plate, that actually helps fund the arts throughout the state of Tennessee. We also are proud that we do self-generate a lot of income. Shannon mentioned the House and Garden Show. Who's been to the House and Garden Show? And if you haven't been lately, please come, because we have really expanded the House and Garden Show. That is our biggest annual fundraiser. We've been doing it for more than 45 years. I haven't myself, but those people before me. It's a super well-attended event. We have all the local businesses are present there. Had a huge show this past year. Great attendees. We've added to and created and added to an art market there. So we have about 35 artists that are there selling their work, and some live music as we like to trickle in with all of our things. And then last but certainly not least, our corporate sponsorships. As some of you in this room, Ken Knight in particular, thank you, Ken, at Crown Plaza. ORNL Federal Credit Union is our biggest sponsor. They're our presenting sponsor, and have sponsored Dogwood Arts for more than 15 years. So that is a tremendously important relationship. But all of our big companies that are First Horizon and Regal and Pilot, who are all still with us, and so many other new businesses that are supporting in all kinds of different ways. But there's always room for others. If you're interested in any of the things that we're doing, certainly ready to talk to you. If you want to grab a card from me at the end of the day, or I have some information I can share with you. If you're looking for just promoting your business out to the public, and you want to get in front of a lot of people all at once, it's a great opportunity for you. And then I cannot say enough about our community volunteers. So that goes from everything from our board members, who are really just so excited to be part of what we're doing, invested. They show up, they work hard. And then hundreds of volunteers annually. So these are your neighbors, or maybe even you, have volunteered for us, and they, I mean, they schlep, they move, they fold, they load, they unload, they sell things, they package things. They work hard for this organization, and literally almost 2,000 hours this year of volunteer support. And that's how these 6 people on staff can actually make some of these big events happen. And then I'm really about wrapped up. Does anybody have any questions for me?
You had mentioned that last year you had planted 2,000 trees.
Mhm.
Kind of what are the mechanics of how that was accomplished?
Sure.
And then second question, do you offer any tree removal services?
No tree removal services, I'll start there, that's on you. But the Bazillion Blooms program was started, I think are we year 15? When kind of community volunteers kind of said, you know what, dogwoods actually, their life expectancy, especially in an urban environment, is about 50 years. And so people were like, you know, if we're gonna continue to have blooming dogwood trails, we've got to plant more dogwood trees. So we started that campaign then with really kind of like thinking it would be a short-term thing, but really what's happened is it's been super popular. So what we do is we sell bare root trees. They're small trees, like 2 feet tall. You can, you know, if you are driving a Honda, you can get in your car, no problem. It doesn't require a giant hole, so everybody can dig the hole and get those in their yard. So those are, it's a program called Bazillion Blooms. You can order online. We pick them up on the same week, on a weekend. Is it December? Second weekend of December this year. We order those trees out of Middle Tennessee, so those are Tennessee trees, and they bring them, and then we do a big, you know, pack them up and pick them up weekend, and then we encourage everybody to take them home and plant them. That is the time of year to plant trees. They don't have to deal with they don't have to fight for the water, you know, and with the sun kind of beating down. So it's better to plant trees then. Anyone else? Someone else have?
Was the reporter for everybody back?
That one, I don't know the answer to. It would have been interesting. I wish there were photos. Yeah, we should find his family, right? And tell him what an impact he made.
With the rise of artificial intelligence, I've seen artist groups fight over their stuff being on social media. Are y'all thinking about that? Concerned about that in the future? Have any plans?
Yeah, we actually were looking at some conferences, and all of them are in the spring, which is not exactly we can go. But we will be just, you know, that's a tool that's in the world, and we're going to figure out a way to use it to the benefit of dogwood arts in Knoxville and our surrounding counties. Don't know exactly, you know, it's interesting to see some of the things that are coming out of AI right now with like 3-legged ballerinas and some different, it's got a little ways to go, and it'll be something we're closely watching to see how we can leverage that tool and do good work with it.
And also the privacy of the artist.
Right. I mean, you know, that is something we're always intent on making sure if we're sharing artwork from an artist, you know, we're making sure they're getting the proper identification. If we're posting a photo, we are always going to tell you who that artist is. If we sell work for an artist, we're always going to give you their information so you can find who they are, find them for more art if you'd like that. That's an important part of what we do for sure.
Y'all have made such a big impact regionally. Are there any other dogwood arts type festival? I know it's not called festival, but any other dogwood arts initiatives or movements that have grown by looking at the success you all have had, whether it's in the state? I know it's also, we have an arborist in the room too, John Shockley. I know it's also based on the tree element too, but what kind of impact have you kind of spread throughout the community?
Yeah, I can answer that 2 ways. Really, our Art in Public Places program, which are our sculptures and our murals, we're really working hard to extend that out. The sculptures in particular are mostly in our city center in Cruz Park, which we're really proud of, and we're going to continue to do that work. But we've really been actively pursuing placements outside the city center. So We added 3 new sites in Maryville this year. We're at the airport, we're at the zoo. We added a site at the Knoxville Botanical Gardens, and we hope that is the beginning of something larger there. We go out all the way out to North Shore, to Oak Ridge with that program. And then the mural program is one that is definitely one we can take with us wherever the opportunity arises. We're about to be, you'll see a lot in the coming months, a huge project that we're gonna do at Emory Place. That will open in October. So that's near the city center, but kind of on that other side of the interstate. So we're stretching out that way, but always looking for opportunities to bring art to, corporate facilities, or just buildings that if an owner just has a wall that's just screaming for artwork there, we love to bring it there. And then the other thing is we get calls a lot. How do you do chalk walk? I went there when I was in town, and I live in Ohio, and I work for my chamber, and they're trying to figure out how we could do that same thing. And we're thrilled to share it. We get that with our sculpture program as well. And the art festival, the Dogwood Arts Festival, just having a big impact. We always kid that at least 5 times during the art festival, some artist tells me that's it. They're moving to Knoxville. They can't stand it. They love it here so much. It's their favorite festival. So we have that reach. The other thing we're always really excited about is the Dogwood Arts Festival and the sculpture program, and now this big mural program. We're bringing artists from other parts of the country to Knoxville. That's a benefit twofold. It lets people here take in more art from other places, but also those artists all go back and talk about how wonderful and amazing Knoxville is. And so to a person, they love what Knoxville feels like when they're here. They're always well taken care of, our great Southern hospitality. They're staying at Ken's awesome hotel. They walk over on Market Square and just see that is just a beautiful place, and that this is a great place to live. Anybody else? All right, well, I'm going to encourage you to find something. If you don't already love Dogwood Arts, grab that booklet or come talk to me after, and let's find something for you to get connected to. We've got something for you for sure. Thank you.
Thank you.